families are to protest at the COVID inquiry over whitewash fears. I'm going to read into this exclusive for My News, guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is REGANELITE here with an exclusive for My News with the headline that families to protest at the COVID inquiry over whitewash fears. COVID-19 Families for Justice group is planning to demonstrate outside the inquiry building in Paddington, West London on the opening day of the module on Tuesday to call for more representation. When I think of Grenfell and I think of Hillsborough and I think of the suffering that had happened to them, and they're still fighting for their justices, I just feel like inquiries now don't hold any weight. I'm sure there's many other inquiries where they've not held the weight anywhere near that they needed to hold, and it's kind of just there to appease the public, to say, yeah, we're doing something about it. And the thing is accountability. There needs to be accountability when things go wrong and learning from mistakes. It is so important that we learn from mistakes. And the thing is, I feel like we have a government that refuses to say sorry, refuses to accept its responsibilities, and when they make mistakes try to basically blame someone else for it, getting out of their responsibilities, as I said. And I am fearing for a whitewash here as well, but there are a lot more lives lost than just those in these COVID group, guys. So the COVID inquiry risks turning into a whitewash because it's not taking all evidence from enough people whose loved ones died from the virus, bereaved families have claimed. Baroness Hallett is to investigate whether Boris Johnson took too long to place the UK into lockdown, in which some families claim allowed the virus to spread unchecked and killed more people. A barrister representing 7,000 members of the Covid-19 Bereaved Families for Justice UK campaign group is to give an opening statement when the second stage of the inquiry starts this week. Lady Hallett will also hear from 4 individuals, one from each nation of the UK, who lost loved ones to COVID. But the campaign group says the 4 testimonies cannot sufficiently cover the depth of the experience of the more than 230,000 people whose deaths have been linked to the virus since March 2020. The group is planning to demonstrate outside the inquiry building in Paddington, West London, on the opening day of the Module 2 this Tuesday to call for more representation from bereaved families. Rikaviga Golub, a member of the COVID family group, told the Eye's comments by Lady Hallett that the bereaved were being put at the heart of the inquiry feels like gaslighting, as they were unable to submit more oral evidence. Ms. Golub said their group's lawyers have not been able to work closely with the barristers for the inquiry, as they have done on other major public inquiries into Hillsborough, Grenfell and the Manchester Arena attack. Well, that's even more damning. Of course, the Manchester attack. How could I possibly forget about that? But even so, on those inquiries, that justice still wasn't, as much justice wasn't found for even on them. It's infuriating, guys. She said the problem is that by not allowing us to give evidence, it is going to start feeling like a whitewash. Something we really do not want. It is very important that we get the truth of what has happened so that comprehensive change can happen. I fear that lawyers have not wanted to deal with the grief because grief feels like an emotion, and you have to leave emotion out of the courtroom. But this is not a court of law. It is an inquiry. Lady Hallett is to hear 9 weeks of evidence from politicians, scientific advisors, government aides and experts, and has pleaded to get the truth of what decisions were taken by Mr Johnson and his government as the UK was overtaken by the virus in early 2020. The main counsel to the inquiry, Hugo Keith and Kate Blackwell, will lead the questions of witnesses, while barristers for core participants, including bereaved families, have only limited opportunities to pose questions, either directly or through the inquiry's King's Counsel KCs. Why? are the ones, they are the victims in this. Why are they being limited? Tell me why they're being limited. Miss Golub, whose father, Michael, died from COVID in April 2020, said it was ridiculous that the COVID group's case had a short amount of time to represent the experience of many different families. She added, "We're trying to help the inquiry. We're trying to work with the inquiry, looking for stories and cases that are representative of the different experiences that would be useful for the inquiry to hear from. It doesn't make sense that in a module investigating government decision making that they're not going to hear from a range of different families who can testify and talk about their experiences in different areas." Exactly. It's not just a case of obviously they want answers. They want the best inquiry, the best outcome. They want to have, well, they want answers, but they also want to give their perspectives on it, which they should be rightly so. As I said, they're the victims in this. Things are going to get missed if you don't hear from people who were bereaved. Exactly. This evidence is going to be critical in understanding the mistakes of the government that the government made in handling the pandemic. They repeated those mistakes over and over again. Miss Golub's father developed symptoms of the virus on the day before the first national lockdown was announced by Mr. Johnson on March 23, 2020. She added, "Everyone knew that we needed to lock down earlier. The government stalled and dithered. In public, we kept hearing that bereaved families are front and centre of this inquiry, and Baroness Hallett said all the right things in public. And it feels like gaslighting because we are not being heard. We are having to push on absolutely every point in every way that bereaved families shouldn't have to do in order to be heard." Ms. Golub said the group had, for example, been asked for more space in the inquiry room, which currently has 42 seats in the public gallery. After request from the group, the inquiry has now set up an online booking system so people do not have to queue for a seat to be turned away when the spaces run out. A listening exercise called Every Story Matters has been set up by the inquiry to run in tandem to the hearing and will collect thousands of online testimonies of people affected by the pandemic, not only those who were bereaved. But Mr. Golub said the listening exercise is not fit for purpose. There is no way of verifying that the stories are genuine or that they are anonymous. Yeah, you can't. You don't know that for certain. Everyone was affected by the pandemic and everyone has a story to tell, but I think that the stories of the bereaved need to be kept separated. Spokesperson for the inquiry said Baroness Hallett made it clear that the experience of the bereaved and the most impacted by the pandemic are central to the work of the inquiry. The chair and inquiry team have met and consulted with bereaved and others who have suffered hardship losses wherever possible to inform and develop its work. There will be more changes for witnesses to give evidence in later modules, including those specifically looking into the impact of the pandemic. Baroness Hallett intends to hear from bereaved families and others where their evidence might shed light on the systematic failings and it might have avoided harm or loss. Accounts of some who have suffered loss will be heard through films that will be played at the start of the public hearings. Every Story Matters, our UK-wide listening exercise, is an opportunity for everyone in England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland to tell the UK Covid-19 inquiry about their pandemic experiences. This will support the inquiry's legal investigation and help the chair make recommendations for the future. The scale of the pandemic and the issues the inquiry must look into means the inquiry cannot hear from everyone who may want to give evidence during its hearing, but those who have suffered the most will be at the heart of its proceeding. I still think it's not right that I still think that are they giving those who are at the heart of this inquiry enough space for them to speak their mind? I think it's a question we need to be asking ourselves. They made a valid point there about how hearing from different experiences will help better understand what went wrong, to help better learn from those mistakes, and I think that's really, really important. And yeah, I am concerned of a whitewash as well. I still think that other inquiries were let down, and there has been a view developed of are these inquiries doing enough? And I think it's a very serious question we need to ask ourselves. And I just hope that I'd like to hope that they get the best, all the information they need, and they're given the best judgment out of it, the best recommendations too. But what do you guys think about this? About them protesting at the COVID inquiry? Do you fear a whitewash for the bereaved families, guys? Let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think. Like, share, and subscribe as always. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.